Good morning, wake and takers. Woo! It has been a 24 hours. NFL free agency opened up, and I, they went bonkers. They went crazy. I mean, I fully love it. It makes my job as a host here very fun. As an NFL fan, I love it. For fantasy football, I love it. I love shaking it all up. I don't want the same retreaded stuff every single time. I don't want all of that. I want fun. And boy, did we get it. We had, some of the usual names stick around. Usually we see these guys say they're going to test free agency and they go back. But we definitely had some shockers out there. I'm not going to waste any time. We're going to jump right into it. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are we doing? It is Tuesday, March 10th. I am your host, Justin, the Lord O Games, here on Wake and Take. Gonna go ahead and get the plugs out the way so that way we could just get rolling here. Make sure that you follow me on Twitter at JOwens_FF. Make sure that you're following the Player Profiler Now YouTube channel, the X page as well, to make sure that you're keeping up with all of the content that is going out. We got our Dynasty guys buzzing right now. We got me taking a peek here at the redraft and the best ball value shaking out from the free agency. We just got a whole slew of content going out right now. So it's a good time to make sure that you hit the subscribe button, make sure that you're watching the videos, make sure that you're following the takes and follow your favorite analysts. So that way, everything that they're seeing, you're seeing too. But like I said, free agency opening with an absolute bang. We have the big news that I think the biggest story that I think we saw was, of course, Kenneth Walker, Super Bowl MVP, going to the Kansas City Chiefs. I know a lot of people out there are worried about, oh man, the Chiefs are back. But let's slow down just a little bit here. We know that Patrick Mahomes coming off of a late season knee injury. We don't know if he's going to be back for the start of the season. There were a couple other signings, and I think that Kenneth Walker is here to kind of be the last gasp buoy for the window that we have here with the Kansas City Chiefs that they haven't been able to quite capture due to the injuries the past couple seasons. But I think that they're trying to use Kenneth Walker as that buoy because the run game has been lacking the past 2 seasons. Isaiah Pacheco did okay from time to time, but really could not get a firm grasp on the role last season. He's a free agent, not even thought about bringing him back. Kareem Hunt, free agent, he's gone, he's dust. And then we had Brashard Smith from last season, the rookie. He got a little bit of gadget play, but that's all that he's going to be. So I think that the opportunity here is wide open for Kenneth Walker. But I'm going to let you know, he's sitting right now at RB13 on Underdog. This is before the big movements are going on in the best ball landscape. And I definitely think that this is the ultimate 2026 trap running back. He is going to be, he's not going to deliver at this ADP. I think that he's going to have a good season. I think that he's going to be a great player for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that he's going to be okay in terms of fantasy football. But right now, RB13 on Underdog. As of today, before the big movement, before we've only had 24 hours to process this. So there's still movement that's going to happen. And I know a ton of people that are shooting Kenneth Walker to the moon. He's already in the late second, early third round. That's going to be moving up. He's going to be a mid-second to maybe early second. And that is a crazy price for me in terms of ADP. I mean, just looking at last year, yes, the magical run after Charbonnet goes down when he is the bell cow in the NFL playoffs. It was something to behold. He was amazing. Super Bowl MVP, already said it. But in terms of the entire season, he could not ever quite shake. He could never do enough to quite shake Charbonnet. And I'm not saying there's a Zach Charbonnet in Kansas City, but I'm also not saying that they're done here. I'm also not saying that when Mahomes comes back, they don't get pass happy. So I think that Kenneth Walker is going to have to rely on efficiency once Mahomes is back. And he wasn't doing that in Seattle. I mean, running back 28 in terms of fantasy points per game, running back 22 overall in 2025 with 17 games played. Again, I think he's going to have a good season, but at his ADP where it's at now and where it's going to balloon up with this Kansas City Chiefs landing spot, any running back attached to Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid immediately shoots up at least half a round in drafts. We saw it with Kareem Hunt. We saw it with Brashard Smith last season. We've seen it with I fell for the Isaiah Pacheco trap last year as well. There's just Clyde Edwards-Helaire, like just so many names that come in and get ballooned up because of Kansas City Chiefs, because of Andy Reid, because of Patrick Mahomes. And yes, there's been success, but yes, there's just also been so many crashes and burns and just getting burned by this. So I fear that Kenneth Walker is jumping the shark here with this ADP. I love the player, loved him coming out of Michigan State all those years ago, and I think that he's been a very good role player, but I don't know if he is going to deliver as the bell cow here in Kansas City, especially again, Mahomes not being ready at the beginning of the season. He'll be buoyed by the volume, but I'm just afraid of what the results are going to be here for an offense that hasn't been the same. They've been relying on defense a hell of a lot more the past couple of years, and the defense is starting to shed pieces. So I fear that when Mahomes comes back, this defense is going to be lesser. They're going to have to pass the ball a lot. So we're going to be looking at Rashee Rice. We're going to be looking at Travis Kelce, who we'll talk about a little bit later, coming back one more season. I feel like the passing game is going to be the story here in Kansas City. And if Kenneth Walker can go ahead and show those pass catching chops, I feel like that's going to be his savior. But I feel like right now at RB13, which again, I think it's going up. I think that price, that ADP is going up wherever his ADP lands at in the 10 to 12 range. I think that is going to be his ceiling right there. I do not feel a top 5 season coming from Kenneth Walker. So I will be avoiding him in my redraft. I will be avoiding him in my best ball for the time being. Of course, new information comes. I can always change that. But for the time being, right now, if you're asking me, is Kenneth Walker a trap or is he the real deal? I'm going to go with the trap. I think Kenneth Walker is a trap in 2026 on the Kansas City Chiefs. But at the end of the day, good for Walker. 3-year deal, just over $48 million with about $30 million guaranteed. So about $10 million a year guaranteed. 15 mil a year if he gets the full contract. So love to see that for a running back. Love to see these guys get paid what they're actually worth, especially coming off of the Super Bowl MVP season. Again, going back to what this means for the rest of whoever's in Kansas City, Isaiah Pacheco, free agent. There's no shot he's coming back. He's a complete redundant asset with less efficiency, less vision, less production, less draft capital, less money capital, less everything. He is the lesser version of Kenneth Walker. So Isaiah Pacheco is going to need to find a new home here. Kareem Hunt, dusty and gone as well. Maybe comes back for a cheap deal just to be a depth piece on this offense. We know that they love their comfort guys here in Kansas City. And then, as I said earlier, Brashard Smith, he was the pass-catching guy that kind of worked in, but he was more of a gadgety player, and that's what I was telling you guys all last season. All of you Dynasty guys saying, Brashard Smith is going to take over. Brashard Smith's going to take over. He couldn't do it. He had every opportunity. Pacheco wasn't playing well. Kareem Hunt was just good enough, and Brashard was never able to overtake any type of meaningful snaps, carries, passing work, nothing. So I feel we have more of that coming in 2026 with Kenneth Walker here. And I would like to see, I'm assuming they're going to add at least one other piece in the draft here at the running back position. Not the deepest of running back classes, so I don't think it's going to be any major competition for anyone other than Brashard Smith. There's also a couple guys floating around. There's Antonio Gibson floating around who would fit that role pretty well. Rashad White, who would fit that role pretty well. So I do think that they may not be done here in Kansas City signing running backs. I think they might go for another cheapo depot type guy that will take a very small contract here compared to Kenneth Walker's very large running back contract. But at the end of the day, this is 100% Kenneth Walker's backfield. And again, I think that the volume will buoy him, but I just feel like where he's going right now and the recency bias of Super Bowl champion, the amazing playoff run that he had, I feel like that is just inflating all of our perception with Kenneth Walker to a place where it's just not going to deliver what people think. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I could put hands up all the way, but I don't see it this season. I think that he is absolutely going at a season trap, avoid. That's it. But it wasn't just Kenneth Walker. We had just everybody going everywhere. let's go ahead and jump right into it. Where in the NFL did these guys land? And the other big name that we had going on, one of the many big names, but probably one of the most sought after players besides Kenneth Walker in the free agent class was Alec Pierce. And it was a little bit anticlimactic. He said he was going to test the free agency market after he did not receive a contract or tag before the deadline from the Indianapolis Colts. They spent their tag on Daniel Jones instead, and that kind of opened the door for Alec Pierce to go get an absolute bag, which, I mean, he still got paid for the type of player that he is. He got absolutely paid, getting a 4-year deal, maxing out at $116 million. So, I mean, over 25 mil a year for a wide receiver, that's about what you expect. But in terms of the type of wide receiver that he is, I do feel like it is still an overpay. And I felt like no matter where Alec Pierce was going this season, he was going to get overpaid. There were reports that out there that the Patriots made a big push for him at about 150 mil for a 4-year contract, and he said no, which is shocking. He wanted to come back to Indianapolis, and I think I think he was just using his leverage after they didn't tag him to try to get some more money. But he ended up taking the lesser deal to stay in Indianapolis with Daniel Jones, with this Colts offense that has been building up some steam. We saw last season they did good until the wheels fell off with Daniel Jones. They didn't have a backup option to the point where they brought in old Philly Rivers. So definitely feel like it was an overpay here for Alec Pierce, but he did show some promise. He did show the ability to put up very, very fantasy-friendly games. He'd always been the deep threat kind of guy. The things that we were missing was consistency with targets. And, I mean, he had 84 targets in 15 games played, about 5.6 per game in terms of target, an 18% target share. And it was a lot of the deep ball stuff. It's still his bag. It's still his game, but we definitely saw towards the end of the season just a lot more consistency out of him in terms of the week to week expectations. But at the end of the day, 12.2 fantasy points per game in PPR, only a wide receiver 23. So I don't think that this really moves the needle in terms of his value, his fantasy value. We got here, he is going as the wide receiver 38 on Underdog right now. It's at about round 7. So, I mean, again, another guy here where I feel like he was the big name. He was the talk of the town. And it's not as drastic as Kenneth Walker going in the should be going in the mid-second now, but still Alec Pierce going in that very much starter drafting range. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm not trusting Alec Pierce as my wide receiver 2 in terms of fantasy football. If I am going running back heavy and you're telling me that Alec Pierce is going to be my wide receiver 2, I'm feeling a little bit nervous about that, especially because we don't know if Daniel Jones will be ready in terms of coming back from his injury. Right now, the reports are that he is on track to return before the start of the season, but we have also seen that these types of injuries from like George Kittle, they can linger on a little bit longer, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. But right now, in terms of the information I have right now, Alec Pierce is another guy. Big name in NFL free agency, everyone clamoring for him, but in terms of fantasy football, in terms of where his ADP is shaking out, I'm kind of putting my hands up here on this one too, where I'm out here. I'm out. I just don't think that it's going to be worth the squeeze here in fantasy football. So let me know what you guys think about that one. Let me know what you guys think about Alec Pierce and the Indianapolis Colts in general, because like I said, Daniel Jones was transfer tagged, so he's not officially stuck on the Colts right now. They're working on a long-term deal. So right now, Jones looking like he's going to be on another prove it to try and get that big money. But in terms of fantasy football, that makes me nervous as well. That makes me very nervous. He is sitting at QB 27 right now on Underdog due to that injury and that timeline being a little shaky right now. But again, he could return prior to the season or shortly after, like a month into the season if he doesn't. But I'm hesitant to buy back in general. Best ball, redraft, anything. Like if I'm taking him anywhere, it's going to be in redraft, and it's going to be an in-season pickup. It's not going to be someone that I'm drafting at the at the beginning of the year just because I don't know about the injury. And a lot of his fantasy success last season came early, where he was rushing at the goal line, where he was getting those inside the 5-yard line touchdowns, yapping them from Jonathan Taylor. And I mean, coming off a serious injury like this, chasing the bag, playing on a tag, I don't think he's going to be doing all that much running. I think he's going to try to rely on his arm in the passing game, even though a big part of Daniel Jones's game has always been his sneaky mobility. So I'm just a little bit concerned here about Daniel Jones and the Indianapolis Colts. I think that they did really well last season, but we saw the wheels fall off. We saw Daniel Jones thrive when he could move. If he tries to change that up, if he tries to protect himself a la Jalen Hurts after securing the bag, we could see a very slow, just defense-focused team here that I don't want any part of in fantasy football. Alec Pierce, just not the ADP that I want. Not where I'm looking to take a guy like that who is more boom bust. We got I love Jonathan Taylor just because if they are a slow run heavy team, that's right up Jonathan Taylor's alley. So Jonathan Taylor, perfectly fine for me on this Indianapolis Colts. Michael Pittman shipped out to the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll talk about that one a little bit later. Josh Downs, someone that we all love from an athletic standpoint, has shown flashes here and there as a very good to dominant wide receiver, but has also just completely disappeared and can never quite work his way into a consistent role on the field. And then Daniel Jones coming back off of a serious injury, trying to protect himself to get paid. So there's just a whole lot of things here. Happy Hudson, good morning. I see you. Riley Leonard might just steal the job. Riley Leonard couldn't even beat out 90-year-old Phillip Rivers on his second grandkid. So I highly doubt that Riley Leonard is coming to steal Danny Dimes' job unless we get the old Danny Dimes back. Fantasy Condo, good morning. Good morning. Sipping on some coffee. I got you right here. So yeah, Indianapolis Colts are a bit of an avoid for me in terms of fantasy football this season. Just all around. There's not anyone other than Jonathan Taylor that I'm excited to draft in any format right now. But let's keep it rolling. We have just so much news going on. So many names moving. The Miami Dolphins, they got into the fray quite a bit here. They had the house cleaning that I talked about last week. They continued it by releasing Tua, who also found a new home. We'll talk about that in a second. But what I did not expect from the Miami Dolphins was to make a sizable splash in the spending pool after just not even caring about the cap, not even caring about dead cap, not even caring about the cash or anything like that. They go and make a splash here, and they go sign one of the top quarterback free agents out there, one of the top quarterback targets that people have been talking about, Malik Willis, to a 3-year, $45 million guaranteed deal, up to $67.5 million for Malik Willis here. And I truly don't get this one. I was giving the Miami Dolphins their props for tearing it down the correct way, for getting rid of the GM, the coach at the same time, stripping it down to the studs. They even got rid of Tua at the same time. And I'm just sitting here like, okay, like you guys are doing it right. Have your tank year. Go get the top quarterback in the next draft. Arch Manning, maybe. I don't know if he's going to be the top. He's probably not going to be the top, but he's going to be near the top. Someone that they could have gotten and just built around at that point. But instead, they go and they continue to build the Green Bay Packers in the Sunshine State here. Malik Willis follows his former coaches down here to Miami. And like I said, I don't get this one. I do not understand what the Miami Dolphins are doing with this one, other than the fact that the Green Bay Packer ties were so strong that the head coach was like, I love Malik Willis. Because, I mean, look, everything we've heard about Malik Willis in terms of the player and the guy in the locker room, great. But everything we've seen from him on the field says just okay. It doesn't say $45 million guaranteed to pull a team out of the depths of hell, which is exactly where Miami is. It's hot as hell down there. It's a dumpster fire. There's just piles and piles and piles of just garbage, basura, sitting here. And you're telling me that Malik Willis is going to be the savior of this team with no good offensive line, with no defense. He's got Jaylen, Waddle, and Devon Achane. Excellent weapons, excellent complementary pieces to kind of mask what Malik Willis is, which is a mobile quarterback that is mostly just a game manager. I don't get it. I don't get it. At the end of the day, his fantasy value himself, Malik Willis, it's going to be buoyed by the rushing ability. It's going to be buoyed by the fact that this defense is depleted due to the fact that they're just shedding these old contracts that were bloated. They're shedding all of that. So this season, the only way that I see it happening in terms of fantasy football for the Miami Dolphins is the fact that they're going to be down every single week. And Malik Willis is going to have to do something. It's not going to be because he's this revolutionary quarterback. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be disgusting. It's going to be just one of the worst feeling fantasy seasons ever. But that's the only way that I see it happening for Willis. He's going to be worth a shot as your QB2 in best ball. He's going to be worth a shot as your late dart throw in redraft. And if you held on to him in Dynasty for all this time, I'm going to go ahead and say you wait. You can go ahead and wait it out. You can either sell now off of this big contract if you are not bought in, if you think that it's just going to be a disaster no matter what, or you wait for those shootout games that have to happen because this defense is terrible. You take a couple of those and then you bundle them up and you throw them out the window and you take whoever wants them, whoever is in a win now, you take whatever you can get there, because I just don't see this ending well at all for Malik Willis. In his 2 seasons where he was with Green Bay and saw some meaningful games, if he got over, there was 3 games where he was really over, like, I think it was like 65% was like the only cutoff that I could make. Over 65% of snaps where he was like the main quarterback for that game. He topped out at 21 pass attempts. He averaged 18 pass attempts in those 3 games. That's not a fantasy quarterback that you want to rely on. That's Justin Fields with the New York Jets level, where you're just like, oh my God. Like, I understand that the rushing ability is there, that the rushing upside is there, but if you can't pass the ball 25 times in a game competently, there's no floor. Like, the rushing is the floor, but at the same time, like, there's no baseline. There's no passing baseline to help you out here. So Malik Willis is another guy. I feel like I'm just being a negative Nancy right now. I promise there are some guys that I'm hopeful for, that I like out of this free agency, out of this past week of trades and free agency going on. But right now, I'm just starting off with some of the big names, and I just don't like where they landed. I don't like where they ended up here, especially given their ADPs in these dynasty underdog redraft formats right now. As we look at it from a holistic view, from the Miami Dolphins as a whole, I think that Achane probably still comes out the best here. He's insulated from the volume. Yes, Malik Willis will take some rush attempts out of the offense, but again, topped out at 21 pass attempts in Green Bay. We saw what Green Bay did when Malik Willis was in the game, and that was hand the ball off. We know that Etienne is able to handle volume. Ollie Gordon will probably see quite a bit of volume this year as well if another running back doesn't come in. But Achane is really going to be the most insulated here. We know he's gonna get the work. We know he's got the home run ability. He's got the Alfred Morris corollary now with Malik Willis, kind of making linebackers freeze a little bit from time to time. And he's got the pass catching ability. So at the end of the day, Achane will be fine. Achane's going to be great. Similar to to Jonathan Taylor over in Indianapolis. Not concerned here about Devon Achane. What I am concerned about is Jaylen Waddle, who has been a concern as of late. He's shared the field with Tyreek Hill. He had good seasons. He had bad seasons. He had good seasons. He had bad seasons. He has never quite been able to find a consistent foothold. He did it early on in his career short. He did it the second year deep, and he just has not been able to find that success yet again. So Jaylen Waddle, very concerned here for him with this signing. He's the only target right now in Miami, and I don't think that they have the means to make a big move, except for maybe in the draft. But right now, there's so many other positions of need in Miami that it would be a misallocation of assets if they spend meaningful draft capital on a wide receiver right now. I think they just need to ride with what they have in terms of the skill positions and build from the inside out. Start the rebuild from the line on both sides, and then just provide something for Malik to hide behind right now. But again, with this big signing, do they even tank enough to get a meaningful pick next season? They don't have a meaningful pick this season. They're stuck in the middle because of the weird push they made last year. And it's just it, the rebuild started off so promising last week for the Dolphins. I was like, they're doing it right. And now I'm here scratching my head like maybe they aren't doing it right. Maybe it's just Miami. Maybe it's just Miami being Miami. So we will see here. But talking of the other quarterback that just left Miami, we had Tua Tagovailoa. He was released. Tua gone from Miami and immediately signs a 1-year veteran minimum prove it deal. The most prove it deal that you could ever see comes from Tua as he goes to the Atlanta Falcons. It is a battle of the lefties here in Atlanta, and it's going to be interesting. I mean, Penix is dealing with the ACL injury. He's another one of those guys similar to Daniel Jones, where he could come back for the beginning of the season. It might take a little bit into the season. It just kind of depends on how the rehab goes, how the offseason goes for him. So I think that this is a perfect spot for Tua. They have weapons. They have a absolute monster stud wide receiver on the outside in Drake London. They have Bijan Robinson in the backfield to completely relieve any type of pressure on Tua when he needs it. If he needs to just hand the ball off 30 times a game, guess what? With Robinson, you can do that. With Bijan, you can do that. And with Kyle Pitts as another just big athletic weapon that we saw come on last season, we talked about him last week. I think that this is a great move for Tua in terms of his career. And I think that one of these two quarterbacks is going to be pretty good. They're going to have some splash weeks here. So I think for best ball purposes, take your pick here. If you think that Penix holds the job, if you think Tua comes in and takes over, take your shot in the final rounds of your underdog drafts and your in your deeper best ball formats where you're taking 2, maybe 3 quarterbacks in some builds. I think that Tua and or Penix are solid snags in that format. I mean, it was 2-3 years ago that we saw Tua on a very good pace before injuries and concussions took over. He was he was doing very well. He was throwing just a ton of touchdowns, and he was not throwing hardly any interceptions. So I think with an offensive line with some good weapons, once again, I think that Tua can do it, but I very much am not excited about it. But at the end of the day, again, QB 33 on underdog, Penix QB 28. One of these two guys is worth the dart throw in best ball because of what's around them. Bijan's not just a Jonathan Taylor type, run it up the gut type of running back. He's got the pass catching ability. We saw it last season. He was just all over the place in the passing game, in the running game. Bijan could do it all. Drake London, if he can stay healthy, is going to be a great buoy for whichever of these lefties gets the win here. And then Kyle Pitts. And then I feel very strongly that in round 2 or maybe in free agency here that we get another weapon here in Atlanta, because outside of London and Pitts, it's pretty bare bones. Mooney did get cut, so he is moving on as well. So I was talking about Darnell Mooney as someone that I would like to still be in on, but if he's not in Atlanta, I'm out. We also still have Kirk Cousins on the team, but with this signing of Tua and how much, like I said, Tua took the bare minimum here. So even if Atlanta has to cut Cousins, it's kind of like there's like if they kept Cousins, it's like they're still paying him, and they would be paying what they'd be paying to Tua. So I definitely think the writing is on the wall here. It's an when, not if, Kirk Cousins moves on. I think the team is still looking to maybe get a trade so they can not eat as much money. But Kirk Cousins seems to be on the way out. Where he goes, there's a couple spots open. We got the Jets. We got Pittsburgh, who are going to be going back through another season of Aaron Rodgers decision gate hell. So a lot of options out there. But yeah, maintaining what I was saying about the Atlanta weapons. I think Drake London, he's sitting at wide receiver 8 right now in the mid to late second round. I think that's perfectly fine. Kyle Pitts, tight end 7, round 8. They're not going to move too much for me here. And we know Bijan, top top 3 selection in round 1 here. I don't think that these guys are going to move very much. Again, Penix and Tua, same, but different. Even which arm they're throwing with, same, but different. So I'm hoping to see more consistency. I'm expecting a little bit more consistency, but their ceiling and where their expectations are has not changed for London, Pitts, Bijan. I think that they're very accurately priced at their ADP right now, and I like where they're all at. I would go there, but it at the end of, like, with this signing here, I think this was probably one of the best signings that Atlanta could have gotten. So it's 100% a same but different situation between Penix and Tua. So we're just gonna live with the ADPs of Atlanta and roll with it here. A couple more quarterback signings to discuss here. We had just some backups, so nothing too crazy, but Mitchell Trubisky is backing up Cam Ward now in Tennessee, and Gardner Minshew is brought into Arizona. He is going to be backing up Jacoby Brissett, who is already early on being told that he is going to be the starter for the 2026 season. He's keeping the job, which I think is huge for the wide receivers and Trey McBride here in Arizona, because we know that Brissett is a timing, precision, passing type quarterback. He's not the best. He's not the greatest, but we saw what he was doing, throwing the ball 50 times a week. I do feel like that is going to be stuck in people's mind of what Michael Wilson did, of what we hope Marv can do with an offseason with a guy like that. But I do feel like Arizona, going through all of their changes, are looking to kind of change the way that they play football and the way that they play offense. We know that they dealt with just a slew of running back injuries last season. James Conner went down within 3 weeks. Trey Benson went down shortly after that. They were stuck with Amari DiMarcado, who had bad fumbles, who had injuries himself. They had Michael Carter, who had injuries himself in a couple splashy weeks. They had Bam Knight come in and be the bell cow for a little bit. So they had no true run game. They had no true identity as an offense other than just, we got to throw the ball 50, 60 times a week. And we are seeing now Arizona, they re-signed James Conner. Yes, he's over 30, but we've seen this team bring him back through three different coaching staffs now that James Conner has stuck around with in Arizona. And every single time that he has been healthy, he has been the number one. They went and they signed Tyler Algier, which is a big sign here. And I just feel like the team is going to try to make that the focus of the offense. It's going to be the run game. It's going to be Connor and Algier just pounding the rock. So while I think that Brissett is still an upgrade in terms of passing right now and consistency, I just don't think that we're going to see those 50 plus pass attempts per game. If they do stick with 50 plus pass attempts per game, one, they overpaid on the running back room here in free agency by restructuring James Conner and by signing Tyler Algier. And two, that defense is going to be is terrible. And I don't think that I don't think the defense is going to be that bad this season. So I definitely think that expectations need to be kept in check in terms of the air raid that we saw last year. But I still think that it's going to be solid. Michael Wilson's going to be inflated. Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably going to be overinflated, but he might be a little bit more on the safer side here. Let's see where he's sitting at right now. Harrison Jr. is sitting at wide receiver 32. I feel like that's floor. I feel like that's very much a floor spot for him here. So I will be in on Marvin Harrison Jr. It seems. I guess it's not floor because he was wide receiver 37 last season in terms of fantasy points per game. So not really floor, but just my thoughts on it. Especially because, I mean, let's look at Michael Wilson. Where's Michael Wilson been just bumped up to? Michael Wilson at wide receiver 40. So Wilson and Harrison Jr. are sitting at about the same exact spot in terms of underdog. So take your shot. Take a shot at the two. I would stick with Marvin Harrison Jr. I know that Michael Wilson had the big end of last season, but Harrison Jr. was dealing with some injuries and just the mentals just aren't there right now. He needs to find some consistency. And I think a veteran like Jacoby Brissett can help kind of settle him into the game a little bit more with those timing routes, playing to Marv's strength. So hopefully an offseason can go ahead and bump him up. If I had to pick between the two going into next year, I would take the shot on Marvin Harrison Jr. But this is really this is the sink or swim year for Marv. If he doesn't do it this year, the bust whispers that have turned into a bust uh, steady stream are going to be a screaming echo chamber of bust, bust, bust. So Marv's got to do it here. I talked about Tyler Algier going here to the Arizona Cardinals, and right now Tyler Algier is higher in ADP compared to James Conner. I do think that might correct a little bit closer, but right now Tyler Algier going in the 8th round of best ball drafts at RB 31, and James Conner is running back 43, so he's going a couple rounds after Tyler Algier here. And again, James Conner has survived 3 coaching staffs in Arizona, and he has always started with the job. He's going to come. He's got injured in week 3 last season. He's going to come back. He's going to be fine. And I do think that it's going to be a 1A, 1B situation, but I still think that that's too big of a gap. We need to see that close a little bit, and it probably will. But drafting right now, I'm taking my shots on James Conner for this backfield. This is going to be one of those ambiguous backfields that we don't know how it shakes out until we see it in play. So I will be taking my shots here on James Conner in terms of ADP value. But in terms of Tyler Algier, I think we're going to see very much the same thing that we saw out of him in Atlanta. I think that he's going to get a uptick in terms of volume just because James Conner ain't no Bijan. And I think the upside is just so much more here in Atlanta because of the fact that James Conner is older. He is more injury prone. He is, again, he's not Bijan. So I think that Algier has a better shot at realizing his ceiling. I don't know if the ceiling is that much higher because the team and the offense are kind of on the downswing here. But I do believe that in terms of the volume and the amount of opportunity and the likelihood of that opportunity is going to be a lot better for Algier. So I definitely think that, like I said, in terms of ADP value, if I'm picking out of this Arizona backfield right now, I'm taking James Conner at running back 43 in the double-digit rounds compared to Tyler Algier in round 8. I feel like he's the most premium handcuff out there, and you're paying that price, and you need an injury to fully realize that value. So definitely afraid there. Alex, that was a big James Conner was a big mistake of yours last season. I was in on James Conner. I was in on Isaiah Pacheco, and Pacheco failed me in terms of play, being bad. And James Conner going down in week 3. I don't know if that's really a mistake. I don't think that's you being wrong. I think it was just the dude got hurt, like a serious injury. So I wouldn't take that one too hard. And I don't know about you, but it's a lot cheaper to go draft James Conner this season than it was last season. So I'm back. I'm back in. I don't care that he's dusty. I don't care that he's, coming off of another serious injury. I just think that when he's in Arizona, he gets the damn ball, and that's what I want. So, I mean, at running back 43, I'll take that shot all day. The upside's not anything crazy, but I think that the floor is there. And I mean, he's still a very good running back here. Bouncing around some more, we have some running backs to talk about. I know this is really like the heart of the show right here is going to be the running backs, but we talked about him last week for just a smidge. Breece Hall, he was kind of sitting and waiting, wondering if he was going to get to go enter free agency or if he was going to be stuck as a New York Jet with the franchise tag. And he is. Breece Hall is once again a New York Jet. I don't know, not once again, but still a New York Jet. He is still trapped in another AFC East dumpster fire that we see here in New York. And there's a lot of negativity. I mean, he was very vocal last season about wanting to get traded. He was very vocal about wanting to test free agency. He was very vocal about a lot of things as New York cleaned house. And here they are. They're tagging him because they couldn't reach a long-term deal. And then they are going, and they were one of the most active teams in free agency, mostly on the defensive front and a little bit on the offensive line front. But they spent a lot of money, and Breece noticed, and he said, "Oh, it seems to be quite a bit of money flying around here in New York. Why didn't I see any of that?" So Breece is not really feeling too happy here, and that is a big concern. I know that it's not a tangible, data-driven take here in terms of Breece Hall, but we know what Breece Hall is. He's a dynamic running back who's dealt with injuries, who has played on a bad team and has delivered sometimes and flopped sometimes. And it's just because of all of that, you have to look at everything in its totality. So Brees is not happy. There is no quarterback right now in New York. Could it be Kyler? Could it be Kirk Cousins? Who is it? We don't know. We do not know. I don't know if we're gonna find out anytime soon. There's a lot of things kind of hanging out there. Malik Willis was tied to them. Went to the rival Miami Dolphins here. So Brees Hall is in terms of ADP, RB16, mid to late third round in terms of your underdog drafts. And I want to. The upside says yes, but he just feels like in such a trap this season. He just feels like unless there is a solid offensive line improvement, quarterback improvement, which I mean, Justin Fields last year, there's got to be anything's better than what we had last season. But I need to. I just feel like we're where we were last season, where it's like you're wish casting here, hoping that he can regain that monster season, that we can regain that explosiveness. And I just don't know if we're going to see that on the New York Jets. Again, running back 16 in terms of ADP. He was running back 20 in terms of fantasy points per game last season, running back 17 the year before that. And then he had his big year the year before that being RB6 in terms of fantasy points per game. So he feels like he's not being drafted at his ceiling, but he just feels like this is like he's appropriately priced. He's appropriately being drafted right now at this price tag here. And I'm afraid to buy in, and it's not because of the player. It's 100% because of what's around him. He's not going to be playing hard for the New York Jets. He's not going to be fighting for extra yards. He's not going to be playing through injuries if he gets any injuries. He's going to go ahead and take care of himself because the team wasn't taking care of him. And that's 100%. Like it's 100% narrative driven. The data says, the seasons say, everything about the player says he's fine at that ADP. I'm still going to take him at that ADP. If he drops even further, fantastic. But I just feel like the situation around him isn't going to improve enough to where I think that he's hitting that top 7, top 8 running back season again this year. I think he needs to be freed before we get peak Brees back. So that's where I stand with that. Again, the New York Jets, there's so many questions here that it just, what are they going to do? What are we going to do with them? I don't know. But I don't want to talk about the Jets anymore. Just, we're going to go ahead and move on. We have another running back here. We have Travis Etienne making a move as well, not returning to the Jacksonville Jaguars, but moving on down. I guess it's not down because it's about even, probably a little bit further northwest to New Orleans. He is going to join a backfield that's a little bit crowded right now, but because of this signing, there's whispers, there's talks about some movement going on still in this backfield. But the New Orleans Saints signed Travis Etienne to a long-term deal after a good bounce back season last year. They just restructured Alvin Kamara. With that restructure, though, there is thoughts that the way that they converted his signing bonus, that it doesn't count as dead cap against them as guaranteed money. So there are talks that Kamara may be cut. He may be retiring. He may be traded. There's a lot of things going on, but it seems like the writing is on the wall here with all of the insiders, all of the big talking heads in the NFL, that Alvin Kamara will be moving on. So Travis Etienne goes from a little bit of a crowded backfield to now still crowded. We still have, Kendra Miller dealt with the injury last season. He'll be back at some point. We saw Devin Neal come in and fill in admirably, also dealt with some injuries at the end of the season. So it seems like Travis Etienne is brought in to be the bell cow. It looks like he is going to be a focal point of this offense that is trying to find its new identity with their head coach, with their new quarterback. So I think that this is a great opportunity for Etienne to solidify himself. He is going one running back spot behind, Wow, I am completely Brees Hall. I just talked about him. Brees Hall. He's running back 17 right now in that same spot as Brees Hall in the late third. And this is someone that I would much rather target over Brees Hall. I know that we saw the uncharacteristic big season from Etienne last year after so many disappointing seasons. But I just feel like that this is a very good fit. I think that Kellen Moore does a great job with running backs. We saw what he did with Tony Pollard, with Rico Dowdle. We saw what he did in Philadelphia. Just amazing, amazing production wherever Kellen Moore goes from the offense and the running back position in general. And we know Travis Etienne is a dual threat. Like, he wasn't always used that way in Jacksonville, but we know that he has the pass catching ability. So I think that Etienne is going to be a very solid, great draft selection here. I know he's in that dead zone. I know people are that's going to be a major talking point once we get to the main best ball draft season. It's going to be, he's a classic dead zone running back. And I hope that pushes him down further into the dead zone, because I will be drafting Travis Etienne in 2026, redraft, best ball, you name it, I'm there. You name it. But in terms of where we stand now with New Orleans, yes, Kamara is still on the team. In terms of right now, he is RB48 going in round 14. I don't care where he goes. If Alvin Kamara stays in RB48, as long as he doesn't retire, that is a great click. I get it. Injury riddled 2025, efficiency down, pass catching down, everything down last season, but that was a completely different coaching staff than what he's had before. We are only 2 years removed from Alvin Kamara being the RB3 in terms of fantasy points per game, with 19 fantasy points per game, leading the entire NFL in targets. He's not as washed as we think. Is he old? Is he dusty? Yes. Is he a lightly used sports car? Slightly. I would say like moderately used at this point in his career now, in his age. But I still think that the guy's talented. He's never been like the breakaway speed guy. He's always been the smart player that knows how to hit his hole, that knows how to operate with the ball in space by being shifty. It hasn't always been about speed with Alvin Kamara. So at his ADP right now, again, at running back 48 in round 14, I'm taking that shot all day. The upside's still there. 2 years ago, 19 fantasy points per game. If you're telling me that there's an inkling of a chance that I can get 15 fantasy points per game from my round 14 selection, I'll take that. I'll take that all day. For us Dynasty darlings here that we're loving on Kendre Miller and Devin Neal, it seems both of them are dead once again. Here we are. Again, if Kamara gets released or traded, it opens up the 2 role. But we also know that Etienne doesn't need a number 2. We thought the same thing last season with Bashaw Tutin. We thought the same thing 2 seasons ago with Tank Bigsby. Travis Etienne always seems to hold off whoever is behind him in the running back room, and I fully expect him to do it again, unless Kamara sticks around, in which case I think Kamara has just his very clearly defined role of pass catching. So that's where I stand with the running backs here. In terms of Jacksonville, what's left, it's Bashaw Tutin that's left right now. He is at the top of the depth chart. I don't know if that's going to hold as him being the only guy there. I highly doubt that they go into the season with only Bashaw Tutin. We could see Rachaad White maybe make a trip down or I guess it would be up from Tampa Bay to Jacksonville to go back to his old coach there in Jacksonville. It's just not a very deep draft, so I don't see any meaningful running backs being added to this room that would take me off of Bashaw Tutin. I do think that in terms of dynasty value, this may be a peak here for Tutin, and you might want to go ahead and just get out now before you get Woody Marxed, where you just get completely your hopes and dreams dashed. But you could also ride it out for this season, and unless you really fear a big free agent coming in, or because again, I just don't think that the draft is deep enough at running back, and it's not like Jacksonville, unless they do another crazy trade up, are going to get Jeremiah Love. So we're sitting here where it seems like Bashaw Tutin is going to be the 1A going into the season. Of course, many things can change here still, but that's just where it seems to be, which is great. Great spike in dynasty value here. Again, if you are looking to just play the market with the values here, Tutin's a great flip right now. Great flip. Could he go up? Yes. Could he just completely be destroyed in terms of dynasty value? Absolutely. So he is a very volatile asset right now. He is a very, very, very precariously placed running back atop the depth chart right now, but the upside is there. So Tootin, interesting name, someone that I may be taking some stabs on in best ball, but it just depends on where the ADP shakes out. Right now, it doesn't even feel worth it to look at the ADP because it's going to be changing so much in the next week that we'll talk about it next week, where Tootin ends up here. JP, morning. Don't forget LaQuint Allen too. They were very high on him and found ways to get him on the field. They did find ways to work him in, and he did do quite a bit of splitting in that backup role with Tootin. But at the same time, just the level of athlete between the two, the level of player, it just feels like even no matter what, like even if they do go in with their current running back room, it's Tootin 1 and it's a clear 2 for Allen. I don't think it's going to be a 1A, 1B situation between those two. I think what we'll see, if anything, is going to be someone else brought in a 1A, 1B situation with Tootin and whoever they bring in. And then LaQuint Allen is still going to be that firm number 2. I think he's a good breather back, but nothing more at that. I think he's just always going to be one of those guys that kind of just makes you go, oh God, why is LaQuint Allen in, instead of like, you're going to be drafting him anywhere. Still so much. I'm running out of breath. Oh, we still got so many. I'm going to go through these next couple running backs here, and then we're going to go ahead and finish off with the wide receivers and tight ends and who is left. We might not be able to get to who is left today. That might be another topic for next week when we'll just run through it really quickly here. But JP beat me to the punch here. Caleb Johnson shares are dead. That brings me to our next point here. Rico, my boy Rico, making his way to Pittsburgh. And I think this is a great spot for Rico Dowdle. He gets to reunite with McCarthy. He's familiar with the coach. And we saw last season, Kenny Gainwell was ripping opportunities away from Jaylen Warren. And it was very much a back and forth battle. It was a 1A, 1B situation here. And Rico Dowdle steps in, and we've seen him take over. We saw him take over in Dallas. We saw him take over in Carolina when Chuba got injured. He did kind of give it back a little bit towards the end of the season. But we've seen Rico Dowdle come in and just big dog the incumbent running back in the room and just take over. And I think that this is 100% another one of those situations here. I love Rico Dowdle right now, running back 34, early 9th round pick. And he's one of those guys that I would take that shot on. I would 100% take that shot. It's still a 1B pre-handcuff plus type guy, is a little bit tougher. But I just feel like Jaylen Warren and Caleb Johnson could never get themselves established. We got a new coaching staff, so there's no loyalties here. Mike Tomlin is not there to provide the shelter for Jaylen Warren. And I think that it's going to be very interesting to see the running back battle here. But I do think that Rico Dowdle is going to be worth the opportunity here. He can do it in all phases. It's just the ultimate thing is, what's the ceiling in this Pittsburgh Steelers offense? That's the big question. Talked about it a little bit earlier. We'll talk about it a little bit after when we get into the wide receivers in terms of Michael Pittman joining the Steelers. But like, we don't know who the quarterback is right now. Right now on the roster, it's Will Howard and it's Mason Rudolph. That's not promising. This has always been a defense first, slow type of offense, type of team in general. So I don't think McCarthy changes that. He's not this offensive guru. He's not this fast-paced guy. He's always been, even in Dallas, a ball control, grinded out type of guy. So the ceiling does concern me with Rico, but the fact that he can just completely seize this backfield for himself is the promising part here. And in the early 9th round, I think that's when you can start looking for that high upside swing. And who he's taken over for, Kenny Gainwell found himself a new home as well. He's going down to Tampa. He is a better version of Rachaad White, in my opinion, right now, a better pure runner. A little bit redundant, it kind of feels, with Bucky Irving, but I feel like that's kind of the point. It's going to be a 1A, 1B type situation, but Bucky is still going to be that 55% opportunity share guy. I think Kenny Gainwell can earn more of that. He can push it to a 50-50 opportunity, but I don't think that he's going to be able to do that. But it is a very interesting pairing down there in Tampa Bay. A slight tamper on the expectations of Bucky's ceiling. but also just a great situation here for Kenny Gainwell. Another one of these handcuff plus type guys that I will be taking a shot on right now. RB36 in the 10th round. I think that might come down because I think people are going to see this as a negative landing spot, but I think that it's actually a pretty good landing spot where he's still going to get his work and he's going to have a huge ceiling boom opportunity if anything does happen to Bucky Irving, which we saw last season. An injury just linger and linger. A couple injuries linger and linger. So I think that these second fiddle guys in Gainwell, Dowdle, Algier, they landed in good, not great spots. Dowdle, probably the best landing spot for me. Gainwell behind that. And then Algier, honestly, the one that I was hoping landed the best, landed the worst out of these three here. But it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. Those are the quarterbacks and the running backs. As we talk about all of this, guys, there is a ton of things that are going to be shifting here, not only in the best ball streets. We're going to see these ADPs be flipping and tumbling all over themselves, but it is also in terms of the dynasty values. And if you need a quick grab, a quick trade evaluation, a quick price check on these guys, or if some of these deeper guys in your dynasty leagues are looking to churn your roster with some of these deeper guys here, there's player comparison. There's one place that has all of this on your phone, and it is the Dynasty Dominator app. I love this app. I've updated it every single time that we get the new rookie class. It's quick, it's easy. You get your trade evaluator, you get your player comparison. I use it for every trade, even if I am confident in the trade, and even if I know that I want to do the trade, I still run it through the trade evaluator because it is able to be tailored very closely to your league settings. You can change the number of teams. You can change the PPR, super flex, tight end premium. You can tell the app if you're in win now, if you're a rebuild, if you're somewhere in between. You can do all of that within the Dynasty Dominator app. It's super quick. It's super easy. It's one of my favorite apps. Like I said, I use it every single year. And to talk a little bit more about it, I'm going to go ahead and pass over to the Podfather.
Hey, what if I told you there was a Dynasty app where you could get player lifetime values, evaluate trades, including draft picks out to 2028, compare the advanced metrics of two players, look up the sentiment, buy, sell, hold on players? Well, there is a mobile app that has all of that and more called the Dynasty Dominator, and it's $5 in the App Store on Google Play. This is my gift to you, the most affordable Dynasty League domination app available today. And if you already have it, the 2026 rookie class is ready to download in the app. Let's go!
Yeah, like I said, I've been using that app even before I started doing any type of work for Player Profiler. I had that app downloaded. It has been an absolute, I'll say it's been an absolute crutch for me in terms of my dynasty teams, because it's just one of those reassuring things. Like, even if I'm losing a trade in terms of this, as long as it's within a close range, I know that I'm not completely destroying my own team. It's just a good thing to a good soundboard to bounce your thoughts off of without having to discuss with anyone out there. If you don't want to discuss with someone that's in your league, like I play with so many people that I talk to about fantasy. I play in the dynasty leagues with them, so I can't give my hot takes always to them because then they're going to use that against me. So this is a good, just always checking. And as Matt said, 2026 rookies ready to go in there already. So you can go ahead and start planning. You can start making some trades. You can see what is the pick value versus the actual player that you would expect to draft in that slot value. It's a great tool. It's nice and easy. As he said, $5 for the download in both the Android store and the App Store for iPhone. So go ahead and go download that. It's something that you will use more than you think. Even if you have the all-in package on Player Profiler, it's super great to just have it on your phone for like a quick one. If you need to go more in depth, you go more in depth on the website. But if you just need a quick player comparison for a free agent pickup, if you need to do a quick trade sanity check, bada bing, bada boom, you got it right there. Dynasty Dominator app. But let's keep it moving. We're about an hour in. I ain't got all the time in the morning right now, and we still got wide receivers and tight ends to talk about. Let's go ahead and get into some of the bigger moves that we had here. We had, before even the free agency frenzy happened, right after I got off last week, DJ Moore was on the move. DJ Moore traded to the Buffalo Bills. And I'm getting deja vu. We have a veteran getting traded to the Buffalo Bills to help out Josh Allen in a completely depleted wide receiver room. Can we get some of that 2020 to 2023 Stefon Diggs magic for DJ Moore? I'm a DJ Moore apologist. I am a DJ Moore truther. I have been constantly drafting DJ Moore in every format. I have him on so many dynasty teams. I have him almost every season. And last season hurt me, but I'm back. I'm right back in. I'm diving right back in. The timeline is eerily similar to what Stefon Diggs. Diggs came over in his age 27 season, and then he strung together 4 straight top 10 wide receiver performances in fantasy. DJ Moore, 1 year older. I'm not concerned about that. 28. I want to see that the talent is very close to each other. Like, I know no one thinks that DJ Moore is on the same level of Stefon Diggs, but I'm telling you, they are. It's just we haven't been able to see a consistent amount of work out of DJ Moore in a competent team. Last season was probably his best opportunity, but it was also a very crowded room with new coaching staff and a quarterback that he's never been able to jive with. And so I think that it's wide open. The opportunity is wide open for DJ Moore to come in and have the Stefon Diggs type seasons here in Buffalo. The top target competition is Khalil Shakir, who is an absolute slot merchant. I understand that he is going to suck targets out of this offense, but Keon Coleman looking like a bust. Josh Palmer, just a dude. We have the top piece of pie is available here for DJ Moore to take. And I think that the upside is more than worth the ADP. He is wide receiver 35 right now, which feels like the absolute floor here. Like I said, it could be my rose-colored DJ Moore glasses. I could be going in with my blinders on. But just last season, he finished as what I'm pretty sure he was like the wide receiver 34. He was a wide receiver. Like, what are we even talking about here? He goes to a better situation with less target competition. He was a wide receiver 35 overall, wide receiver 41 in terms of fantasy points per game. So whatever, that's fine. Before that, 2024, wide receiver 26, 14 fantasy points per game. Season before that, top 10 wide receiver in fantasy points per game with 16.9. Like, we can see it here out of him. He can totally do it in this situation here. Again, I think that wide receiver 35 is the absolute floor in Buffalo, and that is if Buffalo continues to be a run-heavy offense and lean on James Cook and Josh Allen, which I think teams are starting to key in on. So if we get even an inkling of the high-flying, de-gaff Josh Allen chucking the ball all over the place, DJ Moore is going to be easily in the top 24 wide receivers. He's going to pay off at the wide receiver 35 ADP. And I mean, let's take a look at it. Overall, whenever DJ Moore has hit over 100 targets, he has been a top 24 wide receiver. If that's not in the cards, if 100 targets is not in the cards in a full season for DJ Moore, I don't see why the Buffalo Bills would have spent a second-round pick to trade for him. It's literally deja vu. It's deja vu with Stefon Diggs. We're going to get the same thing here with DJ Moore in Buffalo. I think this helps Josh Allen reach his ceiling once again. We know the ceiling has always been because of the rushing, but the passing definitely helps. And DJ Moore is a big weapon that can definitely help here. DJ Moore gets help. Khalil Shakir is going to be fine. What this really hurts is going to be Keon Coleman truthers and Josh Palmer, the quiet whispers about Josh Palmer here. But I love this move for DJ Moore. I love this move for Josh Allen. Again, if we get even just a smidge closer to the pass-happy version of the Buffalo Bills, this wide receiver 35 ADP is going to be blown out of the water. DJ Moore is going to be a smash in 2026 here. Jamie, good morning. You missed the whole show? It's all good. We still got a little bit here. You're doing an episode tomorrow about rookie picks versus vet value. I love that. I'll have to tune into that one because that's one of my favorite things. Everyone right now, it's all like the pendulum swings so far depending on where you're at. Right now, it's rookie season. Rookie picks go for way too much, and these vets are old news. Nobody wants to hear about them. A guy like DJ Moore versus a rookie pick right now, give me DJ Moore. For what his value is, let's easy. Easy peasy. But speaking of the former Buffalo Bills, Stefon Diggs, and trying to recreate that magic, Stefon Diggs was released from the New England Patriots last week. He did have a solid bounce back season after the ACL injury. He still finished in the top 20 wide receivers, playing all 17 games. He was wide receiver 21 in terms of fantasy points per game. It just felt a little bit less consistent than what we're used to seeing. There were so many, Drake May was spreading the ball around so much that it was very touchdown dependent, it felt like, but he still had some big target games, some big yardage games. He is going into his age 33 season here, so that is the concern. But I still think the production's hanging on. It's not falling off an absolute cliff yet. I think the cliff is coming, but we're not going to see him just disappear. I think we still need to see where he lands. He is going to have to find a team. Also pending some off the field issues that we've been hearing about from Stefon Diggs. But I think that he's going to be a wonderful PPR value, especially right now. Wide receiver 50 on underdog. That was right after he got cut. So I assume that's going to fluctuate a little bit here based on the expectation of where he signs. But round 10, that's a great spot in my opinion. He's going to be a wonderful baseline type of guy, like in best ball especially. He's the type of guy that I would love to target just because you'll get that weekly floor built in with the amount of targets that he should be commanding. Maybe not so much of a target in redraft because I'm not trying to draft wide receivers that late that don't have a ceiling. And that ceiling does seem to be collapsing. But in terms of best ball, he's one of those steady guys that you draft in your double digit rounds to try to just maintain a floor week to week. So that way your boom bust guys, if they bust, you're not dead. You have a guy like Diggs slotting in there for your 7, 8 to 10 points on a weekly basis there. And then I've been talking about the Steelers. I've brought it up 3 times already, but Michael Pittman Jr. was traded yesterday to the Steelers right after the Alec Pierce news dropped. He is currently wide receiver 42 going in round 8 on underdog. And again, I think the writing on the wall here in Pittsburgh with the Mike McCarthy coaching staff, we got DK Metcalf, an older veteran on the outside, and now we have Michael Pittman on the opposite side of him. It does not seem like the Steelers are going to be looking to do a rebuild, signing Rico Dowdle, another veteran coming in. It very much feels like they are looking for, once again, either Aaron Rodgers to come back or a guy like maybe Kirk Cousins, maybe even a Kyler Murray, but they're not looking to rebuild here with a young quarterback, with a Will Howard, not targeting anyone in the draft this year. It definitely feels like they're going to continue to kick this can down the road and maintain their positioning in the dead center of the NFL standings. I don't like it. I don't like it in terms of fantasy. I don't like it in terms of NFL. But we do have 2 big body wide receivers here now. I think that DK is going to consistently be the one being posted up at X. And we did see Michael Pittman. It wasn't a significant amount, but even with a guy like Josh Downs over in Indianapolis, Michael Pittman ran a career high 31% of his routes out of the slot last season. Again, that's a career high for him. So we could see that shift in his usage go from the X on the outside, which is DK Metcalf in Pittsburgh. We could see him bump in and be more of a big slot type of guy. They did shed Jonnu Smith, so Jonnu Smith was kind of running that big slot type of tight end here in Pittsburgh last season. We could see Pittman kind of take over that role. And I mean, wide receiver 42, I just don't see the upside here. I don't see the upside here for Michael Pittman. I talked about it when we were talking about Rico Dowdle. It's just not a very exciting offense for me, no matter who is the old dusty quarterback back there, whether it's Rodgers coming back for another season after the darkness retreat, whether it's Kirk Cousins coming up from Atlanta. I just don't see any type of consistent fantasy production out of this pass catching core. I mean, we had a hard enough time trusting DK Metcalf last season. Like, now you're adding in a redundant player like Michael Pittman, who is less athletic. Like, I don't see it for Pittman. It makes DK even harder to trust, who was already hard to trust after last season. And Jamie, I see you. I was just about to bring him up. Roman Wilson will never be relevant. Not in Pittsburgh. He is withering away further into anonymity. He is going to be someone that only the truthers speak his name and hope for. Jason, Jason, wherever you are, that's all that Roman Wilson's going to be for the time being. He is very much hit truther status here at this stage of his career. Roman Wilson, for all of you Dynasty deep lovers right there, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to pour one out for Roman Wilson today. My Michigan guy, I appreciated him in college. Was hopeful for him in Pittsburgh, but the offense just never cooperated. So maybe he's someone who can revive his career if he ever gets another shot somewhere else in a more pass happy offense, but it will not be in Pittsburgh. It will not be in 2026. And I'm pretty hands off on a lot of the Pittsburgh Steelers this season. Dowdle will really probably be my only shot that I take here, depending on where. Right now, Dowdle is the only guy that I'm taking the shot on, and where we see ADPs kind of start to flatten out in the off season, I may shift that even, and I may be hands off of Dowdle as well. It just really depends. I will keep you guys updated, but the Steelers are just not an exciting fantasy team for me, and they're not someone that I'm looking to go after in terms of quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. There's nobody on this team that excites me. There's no ceiling. There's no ceiling here in Pittsburgh with what I expect their offense to look like under Rodgers, Cousins. Kyler would be the only one that could maybe provide a spark to this offense, but I between the coaching staff and just the way that we've seen the Pittsburgh Steelers play the past however many years, I just don't see it. But a couple more wide receivers here before I get running. We'll talk about another big name that this one shocked me. This one truly shocked me, and that was Mike Evans. I fully expected Mike Evans to be doing a similar thing to Alec Pierce, where he tests the market to try to squeeze a little bit more money out of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and just go back home. But Mike Evans leaves. He left the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He could have very easily stayed, finished his career as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, and gone down as just the absolute hero that Tampa always wanted. He's still going to be. No one's upset that everyone's upset that he's leaving, but no one's saying that he's like this villain or anything like that. But Mike Evans goes all the way across the country to San Francisco. He's going to be playing with Brock Purdy. And this one really intrigued me here, because I was like, at first I'm like, oh, that's terrible. Like, why would Mike Evans do that? But then I'm looking at this wide receiver room. I'm like, Juwan Jennings is gone. Ricky Pearsall can't stay healthy. Brandon Ayuk, they haven't even seen him in a year. I do not expect Brandon Ayuk to be a San Francisco 49er the next time he steps on a football field. I fully expect him to get traded or something to happen there. They already voided a bunch of his guaranteed money. A very, very strange situation here. So it is not as crowded as I expected in San Francisco. It's less crowded than it was in Tampa. It's just a different kind of team here. So it's going to be very interesting. Again, I think Brandon Ayuk and Juwan Jennings are gone. So we got Pearsall, we got Evans. I think Pearsall is going to be a great complement to the type of X wide receiver that Mike Evans is. So I think this is a genuine boon for both Pearsall and Evans. I think that Evans gets to maintain his alpha status. Pearsall gets to play as a good flanker type guy, where he's not having to be the number one dude, which we saw him not really be able to do last season. And then you have George Kittle across the middle. You have CMC out of the backfield. So I think that this just kind of replenishes the wide receiver room that San Francisco has been struggling with to keep healthy. Is Mike Evans the pillar of health? No, absolutely not. So risk is still there in terms of the San Francisco wide receiver room and just the San Francisco offense in general. They're probably the most fragile offense out there between Kittle, CMC, Evans, Pearsall, Brandon Ayuk. Like, all five of those dudes that I just named have been injured multiple times over the past 2-3 seasons. So it's a very shaky spot here. But if the stars align, if everything goes well, Brock Purdy, great quarterback option, another sneaky year for Brock Purdy in the cards. And then Mike Evans sitting right now as wide receiver 31, going at spot 61 in the early 6th round. It's a little high for my taste, just because, new team doesn't but it's Mr. 1000. Like, the 1K man, he can still do it. I just, that ADP is a little high for me, but I still think that he's got it in him. So I probably won't be taking too many shots there at wide receiver 31. Let me take a peek of who's around him and who I'd rather have. The Brian Thomas is around him. I'd rather do that. Mekhi Lemon, Marvin Harrison, Jordan. The rookies are kind of sliding in there. DJ Moore. I think I'd rather go elsewhere rather than Mike Evans, just because, I mean, look, I get it's a 3-year deal for Mike Evans, but it's probably like a 1 to 2 year deal that he can retire or they can get out of if the production falls off a cliff here. So was a shock more from an NFL standpoint, but in terms of fantasy, does not really move the needle for me too much. If anything, I would rather have, I think this suppresses Pearsall's ADP to a point where I would like it. And I think that George Kittle, once again, I'm back on the wagon there. You can't talk me off of it. I love George Kittle, even if he can't stay healthy. And then we have a couple younger guys as well that signed. Rashid Shaheed going back to Seattle on a 3-year deal. He didn't really do much in Seattle this season. He was coming off the injury, mid-season trade. He never really quite got settled, but I think that he's going to be a solid number 2 here. Not really someone that I'm looking to go after in fantasy outside of best ball. He is your cliche, prototypical best ball wide receiver, just because JSN's the target monster. It's still, I expect, going to be a run-first offense up there in Seattle. So I think that Shaheed will have games, but the consistency just won't be at a point where I'm trusting him on a weekly basis. And I don't see him pushing JSN for a 1B title in that wide receiver room. So I definitely think that he is a firm 2, and he's going to be a boom bust type of player with that will hit the home run, or he will have a quiet game, very much like what we saw last season. We saw the consistency in New Orleans before the injury happened, but right now it seems like he's fitting more into a field stretcher type role compared to a every down possession wide receiver. So due to that, in terms of fantasy football, love the player, love the fit for him in Seattle. But in terms of fantasy football, I will be taking him in best ball, and that is it. I will be looking to take this contract signing and flip him in Dynasty where I can. And the other young wide receiver that we had moving along was Wan'Dale Robinson. Currently, he moves over to Tennessee to be he is the slot king. The dude's been racking up 140 targets every single season. Doesn't matter who his QBs are, doesn't matter what's going on with the team around him. Wan'Dale Robinson will get targets. We did see some deep ball usage with Russell Wilson, with Jackson Dart a little bit more last season, so it's in the bag. But we know what Wan'Dale is. He is the slot king right now, the current crown holder of pure slot guys in the NFL. And I mean, at his current ADP, wide receiver 46, I think that we're in for another very high usage season for Wan'Dale Robinson. This wide receiver room is still barren. I know that they're most likely going to be adding more, either through the draft or through further free agency. But right now, Calvin Ridley is still the one here. We saw a couple flashes from Alec Ayumanor. We saw a couple flashes from a couple other guys on this Tennessee offense, but Chigakonkwo moving on. Calvin Ridley couldn't stay on the field and couldn't do anything when on the field last season. So I think that this is a very steady option for Cam Ward to utilize out of the slot. All of you Xavier Restrepo guys that were in on him in your fifth round rookie drafts, but that's a 5th round rookie pick, so who cares? But yeah, that's not happening. Don't let him clog your roster. Flush it. Wan'Dale is going to 100% be getting 100 targets here. Absolute PPR monster. And at a wide receiver 46 ADP in the 9th round of your underdog drafts right now in the best ball drafts, I love that. I love Wan'Dale's value in terms of PPR, especially like if in PPR leagues, like the dude is just going to consistently sit there at your 10 to 12 points. And like I said, we saw some deep ball usage last year. We know Cam's got the arm. We know Cam can make things happen. So we could see a little bit more ceiling out of Wan'Dale, but the floor is so baked in that 9th round, easy click for me. Love Wan'Dale going on right here. Let's go ahead and move on to the tight ends before we wrap this up here, guys. We have Isaiah Likely, who is probably one of the bigger tight end names out there after Kyle Pitts got tagged. Isaiah Likely, we were super excited about where he's going to go. And he kind of lands in a very similar situation. He lands with the slightly shifted Baltimore Ravens that have now assumed the role of the New York Giants. He goes to New York. he's in New York with Jackson Dart, with his old coach. He's just kind of following along here, but I do expect his ADP to rise. Right now, he is tight end 20, and that was yesterday in the 14th round. I expect this to go up a little bit. I expect him to be closer to the tight end like 14, 15 at the end of it all. But at the end of the day, did he really change his situation too much? He goes into a spot where there's another athletic young tight end in Theo Johnson, who had chemistry with Jackson Dart, who had some flashes here and there and was leaned upon last season. So it just very much feels like Isaiah Likely is in the same exact role that he was in Baltimore. I feel like he has not fully escaped it. He has a better opportunity because Theo Johnson is not as cemented into that role as Mark Andrews was. So I think that there is more upside here with Isaiah Likely that doesn't require an injury to Theo Johnson. I think that we see a lot of two tight end usage here in New York in the coming season. And I think both these guys are going to be best ball viable, but I feel like it's going to be really hard to trust both of them or one of them because both of them are going to be utilized. So I feel like we have the same situation with Isaiah Likely where it's going to be impossible to trust him on a weekly basis here. But I love this for Jackson Dart. I love this for the New York Giants in general. I feel like this offense is going to look very different compared to what we saw. And I think it's going to be good for Neighbors. I think it's going to be good for Likely. I think it's going to be good for Theo and whoever comes out of the running back room healthy between Cam, Tyrone Tracy or whoever else gets brought in, because New York was definitely looking to bring in another running back, but did not quite land the Kenneth Walker lotto. The other big name we already talked about a little bit earlier, Travis Kelce. He pushes off his farewell tour, one more season, one more ride with Patrick Mahomes here, signs the 1-year deal. So Kansas City has him at least one more season, at least a portion of this season before he rides off into Swiftie land with his brother on the podcast charts. No Mahomes early, once again, leads me to believe that it's going to be a little bit of a slower start, but we expected a down season from him last season, and he was still tight end 3 overall, tight end 8 in fantasy points per game. So not the dominant Travis Kelce that we've seen in years past, but still quietly up there, quietly in the top 3 of tight ends. I think that the tight end, I talked about it with Kenneth Walker at the top of the show. I think that the upside is a little bit limited here without Mahomes at the helm. I think the touchdown upside is a little bit limited here, but I do think that we can see a strong end to the season when Mahomes does come back. He's still going to be a red zone option. He's still going to be a guy that's going to get his targets no matter what, over 100 targets once again. And I think if you guys listen to Andrew Cooper, who does the yin yang tight end strategy in those middle to double digit rounds, I think that he is going to be the perfect yin type tight end who is just a safe bet, who can still provide top 10 fantasy points per game at the position. So he's at tight end 19 ADP. I think that's because it was suppressed due to people thinking he was going to retire. The fact that he's back, he'll probably slip back up into the tight end 12, back end of the tight end 1 range. And I'm perfectly fine with that. I was in last year. I'm in this year. One last ride. If he's on the team, he's going to get the targets. So that's where I'm at with Travis Kelce. And then a little bit of a nothing burger here with Cade Otton. There was a potential for him to move along from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and maybe find some greener pastures, but no, he comes back to the Bucs and he's just going to be nothing for me in terms of fantasy football. We saw it last season. He had a couple splashes here when the entire wide receiver room was done, when Mike Evans, Jalen McMillan, Chris Godwin, Emeka Egbuka, all of those guys were like cycling through some type of injury. Without them, he had a couple good games, but just the way that the team is shaking up right now without a ton of injuries, he's at tight end 32 right now, and he just needs to remain untouched here. Last little bit that I got here is just going to be a kind of a setup for next week. Who's left? Who is left out there? And I'm just going to do a quick run through here, guys. We're at an hour and a half. I got to get out of here. So next week, we will hopefully be talking about where these guys landed. And you guys let me know in the comments who you want to see go where out of this list right here. Out of quarterbacks, we got Kyler Murray. Could be going to the Jets. Could be going to Pittsburgh. Still a couple spots open here. He's looking to find somewhere Not a lot of exciting running backs left out there. We got Rashad White, Antonio Gibson hanging around. In terms of wide receivers, we got Romeo Doubs, Jawan Jennings. Talked about Stefon Diggs getting cut earlier and still looking for a home. Tight end, we got quite a bit of tight ends hanging around out there. We got Chikakonkwo, athletic guy who has the potential to be something somewhere. Haven't fully seen it, but we've seen flashes, so could be exciting. David Njoku, moving on from Cleveland, another guy that a little bit older, but I mean, tight ends, they age like fine wine here, and Njoku has had huge seasons for the Browns in an ever-changing quarterback landscape there, so maybe with some stability here, David Njoku can rekindle the fire that we've seen out of him. We got Dallas Goedert, who don't know where he's going to go. He somehow strung together a great season last year based off of touchdowns. So it seems like he is not going to be going back to Philly. We'll see where he lands. And then is Darren Waller going to retire again? Or is he going to try it again? Who knows? I don't know, but we could see it. So a lot of names still out there. A lot of stuff flying around. Let me know who you guys think. I didn't even think about it. Aaron Jones is still floating out there. Thank you, Jamie, for saying you want to see Rashad White go to the Vikings. That would be an interesting one. I feel like that's a younger version of Aaron Jones there. So we will see how it all goes. But thank you guys so much for joining me today on Wake and Take. It has been an absolute pleasure. Please make sure you go to YouTube and like the video. Share it with anyone you think would appreciate this content. And make sure that you are subscribed to the Player Profiler Now YouTube channel. You can also catch my takes and clips going up over on Twitter and TikTok at JOwens_FF on X and at JOwensFF over on TikTok. I appreciate you guys. I will catch you next week.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to playerprofiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.